worms, also good content.
They're already
Okay,
eaten.
it does look like I'm just very sick. Um,
I don't think so.
oh really? Okay, good.
Yeah. You have a
And
tan,
then,
if anything.
oh, thank you. The opposite
Yeah.
of sick. Can you bump people up, Haley? Because it's kind of tough to have
Yeah.
that up. Oh, actually, maybe you can just check Twitch to see if we're live, because that's kind of the hard part. Is
Oh, okay.
let me see. Actually, maybe I'll be
Uh,
able to do it over here.
We are
Parsec is
live on
great,
Twitch.
but all right. Hello, Twitch people. Let me get this here. Yeah, recording the podcast this week is going to be interesting. Krillboy, there's the slight tech issues. The basic idea is, well, we can talk about it on the main show, I suppose. I'll pull up this stuff here, and then this is going to be coming through here. So yes, I think I'll need you to bump people up, Haley. That seems like it's going
Okay.
to be the trickiest thing to navigate here.
I can be the
But
bumper.
thank you. And I think Janet was going to join us at a certain point, right? Did you have that impression too?
Yep.
Okay. Cool. I'm ready to go if you are.
Do you want me to keep my camera on? It's already on.
If you want to, I mean,
I've never
I
had
know
my
it's
camera on for party chat. I don't know why. I guess it's just not a thing we do.
well, it's because there's something weird about it. If these cameras are on, it makes it so that people who are running through the Discord through their phone can't accept the invite to jump up or something.
Oh, should I turn it off then?
Well, mine's on. Mine kind of has to be on. So at that point, I think it's kind of game on.
Okay.
Uh, yeah. All right. You all ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, do you have your personal top 10 list, Haley, by the way? I figured that'd be content we could cover here. I could
Sure.
probably pull it
Grab it.
up elsewhere, but let's see. Bum, 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 bum,
The way
bum.
I'm going to our Patreon to double check my own personal
That's,
list.
I did the exact thing. I'm like, oh, I was digging through Google Docs trying to find it. And at a certain point, I'm like, what am I doing? I should just pull it up on that thing.
I love
Let
how
me
Haley
see
DeBoom was
here.
included on it.
Yeah,
I love
yeah, that
that.
was fun. She was delighted and confused when I reached out. Hang on, I'm gonna have that list up too, just so we have it. And I feel bad that not everybody had a GIF of themselves. It was like, did I have a GIF that I made of somebody in 2023? Because then they're going on there. Okay, let's get this show on the road. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new bonus. Weird. Hang on, bonus. That's not the way. I'm going to start this over. This is going to be the most flawless episode you've ever heard in your life, Haley. So get ready for this.
All
Okay.
right.
Okay, my phone's down here. Here it is. Hang on. What if I did this? What if I started up here? All right,
Oh,
this is
that's like
better.
how I used to take selfies when I was a teenager. It's best angle.
It is really flattering, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Party Chat, our Patreon exclusive podcast, all about talking with the community. I'm Ben Hansen. Thank you for being here. Thank you for bearing with us through a slightly technically different episode of the show because I am in Puerto Rico on vacation still, and I'm remoting into my home computer and then calling from a different Discord. It's a very complicated setup, so thank you for bearing with it. Hopefully, it sounds okay and
Wow.
looks even better. And Haley McLean's also here.
Hello. That sounds complicated as heck. Do you have to leave your computer on when you go on vacation?
Yeah, and so it was a real moment
Oh.
of faith because like it had been weeks and I hadn't checked it, and then just yesterday I was like, oh God, hopefully there wasn't a power outage. And then I actually went through the
Yeah.
remote thing on Parsec and it's like, oh, okay, my computer's still on back home. It's all working okay. It's a weird feeling.
Interesting. See, my anxiety would be, oh God, my computer imploded and there's a fire at my house because I don't
Oh,
trust any kind of tech. Like I am the person who wakes up at 3 and goes and like touches all the knobs in my oven to make sure that everything's off and stuff. It's a problem.
I, that's smart. I feel like the odds of an oven burning your house down versus a computer, I feel pretty safe making it the computer. But yeah, it
Yeah.
definitely was a lot of stress about like, oh God, if my computer somehow shut off, am I gonna have to call my neighbors and like explain to them how to turn on my computer just to set up all this crap? And it's such a
Oh
slow,
my
silly
God.
thing. But we're gonna try and do the main MinMax Show podcast this week, this way as well. So let me know if it's a complete disaster mic wise. I checked out a couple different mic options, and I think this
You
might
sound
be
good.
the best one. Oh, good. Oh, good. It's just classic Apple earbuds, AirPods things.
Your audio is
Hey,
crisp and clear.
really? Good God. Haley, this is the other side of the break. We did it.
Yeah, wow. How was your holiday break? How was your vacation?
It's awesome. Yeah. I'm still living in it. And so we really spoiled ourselves this year where like some friends of ours, it was maybe like last year, they did something that I was endlessly jealous about where they went and just lived in England for a month. And there's a lot of
Ooh.
like posting beautiful pictures on Instagram about their lovely English cottage, yada yada yada. It's like, man, that's the way to do a vacation. Is like just go as all in as you can to make it feel like you live in that place. Like that's the ultimate goal, right? You just want to just feel like, what if I had a different life? What if I just lived in England for a month, right?
It's The Holiday. Did you ever see that movie, The Holiday?
Oh my God, Haley, I
It's literally The
was
Holiday.
I was drunk with my wife last night talking about the holiday
I love that movie.
because I had the weirdest thing, and it ties into everything. But when Elise Favis and I and JV Gwaltney back at Game Informer, we visited Media Molecule for the Dreams cover story at Game Informer. And
Okay.
Elise and I had like a free day because JV was like, oh, I'm going to write the cover story in my hotel room by myself. We're like, okay, well, we're going to go out and drink beer and have a good time. And so Elise and I are like, oh, we should check out. Somebody said from the studio that they lived in this small town outside of Guildford, which is where the studio is.
Yeah.
Um, and they're like, oh, it's just a beautiful small town. There's like a cool old pub that has some ghost stories. And we're like, oh, that sounds great. So we
Ooh.
went there and we're hanging out at the pub for a while. And then we were just walking around the town and they had, by the way, the ghost story was sweet because it turns out like, in the 1600s, somebody was found dead in the chimney and now they haunt the bar and all this cool stuff. Um,
Chimney ghost. Oh, that's a good type of ghost.
it was a great, great
Especially
type of ghost.
Christmas. He might stop
Yep.
Santa.
Yeah. Ooh, perfect.
Ooh.
Writes itself. Anyways, and so we were walking around. I think Shear was the name of the town, if I remember correctly. And so we're walking around this town. There's a cool old graveyard. We're walking through that, and then we just saw this lady take her dog on a tiny trail, just like barely a trail going off over a hill into the woods. We're like, hey, you just want to go walk out in the woods? That sounds great. This is at least now we're really getting along well. And so then we were just walking on this trail in the absolute middle of nowhere, outside of the middle of nowhere, on a tiny trail that we wouldn't have even seen if somebody didn't bring her dog on it. And we're walking, and then we found a plaque, and there's a plaque in the middle of nowhere. And we stop and look at it, and it's like looking at a house down in the valley, and it said, "This is the house from the holiday."
You found the holiday house by
Yes,
accident?
yes, that's
That's
exactly it.
so fun. That house is
Yeah,
like every girl's dream house growing up who watched that movie as a kid. Like every girl I know is like, oh, I want the holiday cabin so bad. That's like the dream location to live.
we
What?
stumbled across it somehow. It was sweet. And the sad thing is both Elise and I are like, I don't know that movie. And I'm a film major. I should know this, but I was like, oh, I think it's like Roman Holiday. I think it's like that old movie. Like I thought it was the old movie from the 50s with Gregory Peck or whatever. And so I just completely blew it. But then I came home and I told the story to the person I was dating at the time, and she's like, "You don't know the holiday?" She like freaked out when we watched it. It's like, "Oh, that's so cool! I got to see the house. So that's how
Oh,
my
that's
holiday
awesome.
break was, Haley. It was reliving these. No, so basically the point was I took that model of a vacation from my friend. It's like, you know what? Let's just go to Puerto Rico and find a cheap place to stay. And so we've been here for 2.5 weeks.
Nice.
Well, we will be 2.5 weeks by the end. I mean, we flew out on Christmas Day, and we're still here, baby. So we were in Old San Juan for 3 or 4 days, and then we got a place that's just like in the middle of nowhere, but it's right on the ocean, and so
Oh,
it's my favorite. I was like being in because I grew up in the country, and so when I can get out of a city on vacation, I feel so much better. Like, okay, if I can just see how like actual human beings live around here, I feel so much better. And I feel like I'm
yeah.
at home when it's just outside of the hustle and bustle of a city. And so it's just like this really outside of this small community kind of on the west coast of Puerto Rico. And so I was I thought for a bit early on, and I'm sorry everybody, but I'm glad I got away from it. But I was like, oh, should we do like a community meetup in Puerto Rico? Maybe we have some listeners. But I couldn't find the analytics data on YouTube for how many people listen to us from Puerto Rico, because it's all
Uh,
like you can track every state and you can track every country, but Puerto Rico's like there's no territories. Maybe it's somewhere
oh,
in there and I
weird.
couldn't find it in the back end. But yeah, it has been a dream come true. It's like it's an unbelievable find that my wife got for like this little Airbnb place because it's like, yeah, right. I can see the ocean now. It's like we can walk to it, and it has a pool, and there's like no one else ever using it. So like taking a dip in
Oh,
the
nice.
ocean every morning and going bodyboarding is super fun, and then jumping in the pool, it's just been a blast. And Vander K1 asked, "How are you liking the food?" I am enjoying the food a lot. It's a lot of
The Bur-
plantains, a lot of
Burger King.
rice and beans. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I did make. I broke my seal, and I did a little bit of work outside of working right now. But like this is work. But I was driving around in San Juan, and there was a Burger King that I was like, well, I need to make a whole video about this. So I made a YouTube short, and it's TikTok, Instagram reel, yada yada yada. But they reskinned a Burger King to be like a marketing arm for Modern Warfare 3. And it's the most obnoxious thing because it's not just like, hey, we put some banners up for Call of Duty. It's like it is an entire Burger King. It doesn't even look like a Burger King anymore. It's all just the red like key art of Modern Warfare 3, which is so funny because like that game that is the most reviled Call of Duty game in decades, just to have an
Truly.
entire Burger King themed after it. Like we have a bunch of tires in the store, and we got price and soap in there. It is bizarre how all out they go. And I was looking around online, like, is this a common thing? I think it's just that one Burger King only in Puerto Rico. They just go all out and market for in a huge way. And so it was a very silly thing
Why?
to swing by. And I don't
That's so
know. I
weird.
don't know. I was talking to the guy behind the counter, and my Spanish wasn't good enough to get all the info. But I felt bad at a certain point because I was asking him 1,000 questions about the place to use in the video. I didn't get to that part of, yeah, why this one? Like, I don't understand what's so special about this, but
Didn't you say
there's
there was like
some,
Spider-Man before and stuff? Like they
it
do other
was,
games?
yep, every 3 months, they rotate, uh, for
Weird.
different stuff. Yeah. Uh, yeah, I would love to see some of the themes and stuff. So I'll try and keep up to date on this one Burger King, but I forget who it was, but somebody commented on the video that made me laugh. Like, I hope you're eating more than just fast food in Puerto Rico. It's like, what? Just because I did one video, I'm here for 2.5 weeks. Please don't think that I'm only eating Burger King in Puerto Rico,
That's
please.
the most
But
American assumption, like that the American would go to Puerto Rico and get Burger King.
oh yeah, just loading up. Yeah, but uh, I've really, I don't know what the last like food or drink epiphany you had in your life was, but it was on this trip where I was like, you know what? Why am I not drinking pina coladas and strawberry daiquiris all the time?
Oh,
They
strawberry daiquiris for me. Oh,
they're
there's
so goddamn good. Like when was the last time you had a strawberry daiquiri?
my brother's wedding in Mexico when we went to Mexico
Mm,
and oh my God, the food. I Mexican food's my favorite food of all time. If I had to
yeah.
choose cuisine, Mexican food for the rest of the time. And just getting strawberry dac. See, I was also at law school at the time, so I made myself study until like 1 or 2 p.m. and then I just dummied strawberry daiquiris for the rest of the day while everyone else was already so much more drunk than me, so I had to like play catch up. But that's the best kind of like drinking strawberry daiquiri because they're juice. It's juice. You can
Yes.
barely taste the alcohol. It's just a delicious slushy you drink all day. It's and in a
It's
pool, no
ridiculous.
less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yet I feel like maybe I'm not heavy enough of a drinker or whatever, and that's a good thing. But like I have a strawberry daiquiri once every 5 years, and I say, "Oh, this is the tastiest thing you can put in your mouth," and it gets you
Yeah.
drunk. I don't understand why I'm not drinking this all the time.
Yeah. No, I'm not a pina colada fan because I ruined it
Ooh,
when I was younger. My friends and I were at geez, why were we there? It was a party in an abandoned church, but it was someone's cottage. But it was like the coolest place for a party because it was a church, but it got turned into a cottage. And then there was like
ooh,
50 or 60 of us there. It was like end of high school era kind of thing. And we all were just like, let's go. So we didn't have a lot of money. So we just bought whatever we could at the grocery store for mix. And I was like, there's a pina colada mix. Let's bring that. And then we ended up making like put most of our alcohol with the pina colada mix, and it was disgusting. But we had to drink it because it's all we brought. And I got sick not because of how much I drank, but because of the pina colada taste, just like mixed with vodka and tequila and something else. It was
oh,
disgusting. Oh, it was
oh.
disgusting. So I got sick just from that. And to this day, that was like, oh, almost 2 decades ago, 15 years ago. I can't have pina colada. Like I smell it
I
and I'm
get
like,
it.
bleh. Yeah.
Yep, I get it. You just curse it at some point. I may have hit that limit. Hopefully, I can come back to it. But yesterday we walked like a really long ways along the beach to go to a restaurant, and they had like just to be clear, this was an ironic choice, but they had a pina colada option, and it was like, hey, $10 pina colada, but it was in like a bottle or like a glass, like super tall, but it was like a bottle that you would take home as well. It was like a
Oh.
plastic, and it was like the shape of like a woman in a bikini with like a big stupid straw at the top. I'm like, this is so stupid. For $10, I have to get this novelty pina colada. So I got it, and then drinking down that lady's body and pina colada. By the end of it, I was like, okay, no more. This is. I thought I had a bottomless love for pina colada, but I might have burned myself out on this one thing because
It
it's
hit the
brutal.
limit. That reminds me of
Yeah,
those pens you tilt and then the ink goes away and then she's
yeah,
like naked. So when you drank, did she get? It was like she got more naked and just like
she
wow,
did.
tantalizing. Yeah,
Yeah, it was, and that's why I had to keep drinking. Like I was sick of it, but like I need to see what this lady's
I
butt looks
need to
like.
see what this woman looks like.
There's really anything else around it. No, but it's been awesome. Like the people have been so unbelievably nice. It's like it's just I
Cool.
like getting out of the city where you just can interact with a lot of people, and there's not really tourists around, and still people are very nice to us, even though hopefully we're not too obviously tourists. But yeah, I've just been blown away. But there's a like it's interesting. We took a big tour through Old San Juan, which was super cool. By the way, have you ever thought about going to Puerto Rico?
No, I've never. I've been to Turks and Caicos has kind of a similar energy for Canadians that Puerto Rico does to America. Like it almost became part of Nova Scotia. I remember back when I was in high school, Turks and Caicos.
What? Really?
Yeah, it went through the process, and then they ultimately ended deciding not. But I haven't been there since I was a teen as well. But Puerto Rico's up there. I'd love to go there.
I cannot recommend enough to everybody. Like, really, my wife was pushing it, and I was like, I don't know, maybe. I've never really thought of it. And it just feels like I now feel like I'm screaming at everybody, like, why aren't we going to Puerto Rico all the time? Like, I do feel like it's a controversial topic, but if it ever becomes like the 51st state, I feel like there's going to be such a boom here, and it's going to be everybody visiting and be like, oh, what have we been doing? Not coming to this place more often.
Hmm.
It seems obnoxious to be like Puerto Rico under the radar, but for a dumb Midwestern guy, it was under the radar for how
That's fair
awesome it
for
is
someone from
for
Minnesota.
natural.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, right. But the weird thing is, so we did this history tour, and the tour guide was like 10 out of 10, just perfect, knew everything. And she was just, talking beyond the tour, but talking about Puerto Rico at large, just talking about like the politics of Puerto Rico and stuff, which is really interesting.
Right.
Um, but she was talking about like Three Kings Day. And she's like, honestly, Christmas here, it's all right, but like Three Kings Day is a bigger deal as a holiday than Christmas. Which, have you ever heard of Three Kings
Oh,
Day?
no.
It's like the
What's
three
three?
wise men or whatever, but so it's like
Oh,
yeah, ooh, people. All right, Neil, you're into Three Kings Day.
cool.
So it's a big deal here where they're all about celebrating these wise men, and so it's just like their three kings icons are everywhere, and then there's just been a ton of parades and people just going nuts. Where the parades, as far as I've seen, and we've seen like several of them, and they're just randomly popping up, but it's just bizarre. Where it's usually like one car in the front that has like three people dressed up as the three kings waving around, and then there's just like a mile of like tow trucks, any car that has a flashing light on it, like ambulances, police cars, tow trucks, any big truck like that, people just get behind and flash the lights and then just like bring all traffic to a stop. So that's been all over the place in this podcast
Cool.
time, but it's been really fun. Um, there's a ton of dorky stuff, but yeah, it's been a blast here. But Haley, what's your vacation been like?
That's fun. I never go anywhere for Christmas, and I'm the person in my family who, like, the rest of my family's like, let's go somewhere, like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, Christmas at home. I don't know what it is about my brain, but I just want Christmas to be at home. But it
I
was
get
really
it.
nice. Like, I got to see my family a lot. I always stay the night at my parents' house for a few days, like, over Christmas. And my mom gets so excited because she's just like, and she decorates like crazy. My mom's like Martha Stewart level of decorating the house. She loves it.
Ooh,
It's like her love language is like decorating for holidays and then having people over. So we're like, wow, and she's like, like she like loves it. So she has decorations for Valentine's Day, like for all like even the B tier ones. Like she's got boxes and boxes of stuff, and she brings out. Easter gets a whole like two boxes, but Christmas is like a 15 box ordeal like that gets drug out of the closet. So it was really decorated, really fun. They just got a puppy this year, so they were excited about their new
oh,
puppies
nice.
for Christmas, which is really cute.
Just do
Um,
they feel like? Do you feel like when you have 15 boxes of stuff, does that heighten everybody's mood? Because we had like a family vacation before we split out, and I always just feel like, how can we make this more fun and festive and get people in the spirit? how do I really
Yeah.
produce the hell out of this Christmas thing? But do you think if you just have that many decorations, people are naturally that much more excited for the holiday?
Yes. No, growing up is realizing Christmas was fun because of my mom. Like, it's always
Mm,
like, "Where's the Christmas magic?" It's like, I'm not putting, like, dozens of hours into decorating my apartment like my mom did to make the vibes immaculate when you walk in. Like, that's where Christmas went. So when I go to my parents for Christmas, I'm like, "Christmas vibes, let's go." Like, everything's cozy. She buys little gingerbread things for us to decorate. Like, she
ooh.
truly puts so much effort, so she makes the Christmas vibes immediately there. Like if I live somewhere else besides the city where my mom is, Christmas would be just like so depressing for me, I think, because she makes it for me.
Did you get any killer gifts?
I got that House of Leaves book from my partner,
Oh yeah.
which I'm really liking. I'm reading it. Sam like retweeted my tweet about it. I was literally
Come on.
screaming.
Come
Oh my
on.
God.
That's the
Well,
best.
my partner was sitting next to me on the couch, so I tweeted that, and I was like, "I'm excited about this book." And then the one of the directors of the game liked it. I was like, "Look, someone liked it." And then Sam like liked it like immediately after. I was like, oh. And then like a second went by, and then he retweeted it, and I was literally like, so excited. And then it ended up getting like 900 likes when usually my tweets get like 50 max. So people are just like, "This book's awesome. You're gonna love this book." Blah blah blah. So it kind of
It's
made me
like,
go into that book even more giddy because I was like, "Hey, everyone's excited about this book too." And it's such an interesting book. I really recommend it if you haven't read it. It's truly like if a it's a it's just like the weird I can't really describe it. It's the weirdest book ever. Like you'll be tilting it upside down and like taking a minute to try to figure out how to even read a page before you start reading it, like what order to do things in and stuff.
what?
It's really unique. It's the meta it's it's a lot of their meta narrative inspiration comes from that book apparently. And he really loves that
Weird.
book for what yeah. So it's a very cool book. I'm only like a third of the way through, but it's really, really good. So I recommend it.
Nice.
What
Oh, and then
else?
it's that what Dead by Daylight is teasing that they're getting Alan Wake stuff.
I hope it is. I mean, it's just a flashlight on the table, but what else could it be?
No,
Like,
it has to be. It has
it's
to be. Come
it's
on.
gonna be Alan Wake. Probably. There's not really what antagonist would be. I'm trying to think. They'll probably just put Alan Wake in there, kind of like they did Nicolas Cage. I'm thinking where it's just like here's Alan, and that's it.
Oh.
But I don't know. It
I
makes so much
mean,
sense
wouldn't it
because
be cool? Couldn't you have like Mr. Scratch as the guy that's
you
hunting you or
could have
whatever?
Scratch. That'd be cool. I didn't think about that. Yeah. But then like what would his abilities be? Like that's what's so fun about Dead by Daylight is they take something from one type of media and then try to puzzle piece squish it into their gameplay format. So you're like, okay, Chucky, what does Chucky do in Dead by Daylight that makes sense for Chucky but also needs to work in this metric where he can't be broken and just destroy everybody. Like he has to
Right.
be a little bit toned back. It's so fun to see how they do that. And it's Dead by Daylight makes so much sense. It's one of your abilities is flashing a flashlight at the bad guy. That's like one of the things you bring in to try to survive. So Alan's probably going to have a really good flashlight perk or something that just makes so much sense. It's the easiest thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's right there. We had people. By the way, hello everybody. Thank you for supporting Party Chat. We have a lot that we can talk about on this week. We had people who wrote in over on Patreon. They don't have to call in if you're at the MinMax Council tier. So let's say Procyon number 6. They submitted a text question to say, "Hey Ben, love the 210s discussion. I love the emphasis on how it's a measure of the panel's passion, and you will disagree with this list. That being said, justice for Remnant 2." Yep, that's fair. Um, Haley, you seem like you're in the phase of you're reading a lot of feedback on all the MinMax podcasts and stuff going out there. Like, what did you think about the feedback for the 210s?
I tried to read almost every comment because that's also kind of part of my job as community manager too. Like I want to make sure I
Sure.
hear people's energies and stuff so that if something is we get the same comment over and over, we could talk about it. But oh my gosh,
Mm-hmm.
people were being so nice. Like everyone was saying best game of the year discussion across everything online. Like they
Which
were
is really
saying they
nice.
liked our stuff. That's so nice. And it's interesting that our metric seems to be the passion thing is that's come across. I think partly because Leo is so good at being passionate for Hitman in those discussions. Like that really stood out to me once the discussions was done. I was like, man, Leo loves Hitman and now I love it a little more because he's so good at talking about it. That really came through. And I think some people were confused to why Hitman was so high. But the way that my brain thinks about it is like that's Leo's favorite game of his entire life.
Yes.
So like, and then I also kind of liked it, but whatever. It's more about Leo. Like, so that the passion's there. Like that passion, like if the passion meter is here, it's like it's exploding off the top. So that's like, and there's no math to passion. It's just for fun discussions. And, it
Yeah.
made sense to me in the moment. I'm like, of course it's up there because this is the thing Grandpa Leo will be talking about in 50 years.
No, I think that's exactly it. Like there were a couple of those comments that I saw where it's like, I don't understand. Like other people's number two games, as if they're the sole champion, aren't that high. I don't understand why Hitman is. And it's like, yeah, no one else said this is my favorite game of all time, and nothing will ever dethrone it, or whatever bombastic
Yeah.
thing Leo said was. And yeah, I mean, it's funny. It was so much kind comments, and like the traffic's been good. People have been sharing it, which is great for the 210s overall. But
Mhm.
you can't be annoyed by these people, but I still am. Like there's so many people though that are still jumping in and they're like, the passion system is broken. That's no way to measure it. Like it's way off. It's nothing accurate. It's not objective. It's like,
OP.
well, right. It's like, well, it's not perfect. Like we start out by saying it's not a perfect science here, everybody. And it's like the part that I think people are not thinking about is like, yeah, we want it to be a compelling podcast. And like,
Yeah.
if we just do a mathematical basis, that's a pretty dry podcast just to like run down and be
Yeah.
like, number 19 was, number 18 was, so it's like the passion is
Yeah.
what makes it hopefully dynamic to listen to, ideally.
And I've heard some people say they should do the math first, discuss the math, and then ultimately not feel stuck to it. But I
Mm,
feel like if we start there, it's going to be really hard to deviate. Like that's going to seem like the correct
yeah.
list. And then no matter
Yes.
what we say, it's like, but the math says blank. Like I don't know. It's tough to balance that. But ultimately, when I see those comments that are a little bit upset about how it works, I'll like maybe this is the most positive way to view negative comments. It's like that's really nice that they care enough that they
Right.
want our
Right.
list to be like they value our opinions so much they want our list to be more aligned with us. Like that's like a when you take out the mean context, that's like a really sweet
Yeah.
sentiment. Like when you think about it, they care enough to be like this isn't right. Like that's kind of nice in a way too.
Yep. Yep. And I really, we did not get that many mean comments.
No, no.
There were a couple that really rubbed me the wrong way. I don't even want to go into it. I won't even want to give them the surface. I know it's the most frustrating thing to listen to on a podcast and be like, you guys, some people are
No.
mean to us on the internet. It's like, yeah, okay, well, congratulations. People care. Yeah, we weren't being lit up for anything huge, which was nice. But uh, Neil, the mod, also some other people did this on Reddit I saw. But some people, because we posted over on Patreon, everybody's top 10 lists. And so
Mhm.
some people were like, what would the mathematical list look like?
I saw that.
If
I saw the
yeah,
actual
if we
the actual
yes,
list.
if we did make the real list and you weighted these, and Haley, maybe you can bump Neil up
Yeah. Love
here.
that.
Um, if we weighted it, so somebody's number one is worth more than the number 10, yada yada yada, we can find out what the mathematical two tens would be. And so I have them here if you want to hear the quote unquote correct objective take on this whole thing.
Do it.
Oh, hang on. Now I'm scared. I'm scared because it's like, okay, Neil, just to be clear, well, let's see if Neil's going to jump up, but I want to be sure that this isn't the community 210s that I'm pulling from. I don't think it is. I think this is the weighted list. Yes, it is the weighted list. Okay, so here's the correct list. If you take the 9 of us and our
You can call it
210s,
the correct list,
our
man. We
top
can't
10s,
call it correct
I'm
list.
saying it sarcastically, the correct list.
The math
Um,
list.
okay, here we go.
Oh, Neil says he
Uh,
can't talk at the moment, but I can just let me know, Neil, and I'll bump you up whenever.
yeah, and just be clear, yeah. So this is everybody's average list, yada yada yada. So number 20, Octopath Traveler 2. Number 19, Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon. Number 18, Humanity. So Humanity made the cut mathematically.
Wow.
Number
Okay.
17, The Cosmic Wheel Sisterhood, also made the cut mathematically. Number 16 is Dead Space. Number 15 is The Making of Karateka, which that's a bump up mathematically, so that means it got robbed. We all agree. 14 is Chia. 13 is Lies of P. Number 12 was Xenoblade Chronicles 3, Future Redeemed DLC. 11 is Shadow Gambit, The Cursed Crew. Number 10 is City Skylines 2. Number 9, Dave the Diver. Number 8, Sea of Stars. Number 7, Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Also was higher. No, I'm
Yeah.
not holding a grudge, but I'm noticing it. Number 6 is Hi-Fi Rush. Number 5, Resident Evil 4 Remake. Number 4, Hitman Freelancer. Number 3, Alan Wake 2. Number 2, Baldur's Gate 3. And then number 1, it would have been Tears of the Kingdom if we took the mathematical approach. But that's
Interesting.
not fun. It's interesting hypothetically to look at this, but despite saying this is a correct list, I don't feel like this is actually the better list overall, you know?
I think it's fun to know what your personal is, and then you hear someone else talk about something, and you're like, they like that more than I like this. So therefore, like it's like you view it in a different way. Like I might be going crazy in love with Alan Wake 2, but then I'll hear
Yeah.
someone else talk about something. I'm like, they like that more than I like that. Like, and you can just rescind your passion for fighting for because they like that thing more. It's a unique way to go about debates because even if the numbers say like everyone liked Tears of the Kingdom, like even just Sarah tearing
Right.
up when so many people came for Baldur's Gate, that was the sweetest thing ever. That was like so lovely. I saw a bunch of people commenting that like when Sarah cried, that was the nicest moment. Like those kind of moments is like that's why you have those discussions. Like that was the
Yes.
nicest thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we also have going to number 30, thanks to Neil. So we find out what was in that 20 to 30 range. So number 21 on this list was Starfield. It was that close mathematically.
Wow.
22 was Pikmin 4, which I do feel like we'll talk about it more on the main show, a little bit of kind of the snubs, but I think in the Pissy Zone conversation, which is available for people at the $10 tier, the Backstage Pass tiers, where we really all let it all fly, at a certain point, Janet said, I mean, Pikmin 4 is the best design game here. And I was like, like maybe we did do Pikmin 4 a little dirty. It
Yeah,
is just a rock solid game.
it
Rock
is.
Pikmin solid. The number 23, Super Mario Brothers Wonder. So mathematically, it should have been killed, Haley. That's the conclusion.
Yeah.
Uh, 24 was Star Ocean, the second story R. 25 was The Finals. 26 was Jusant. 27 was Chance of Sonar. 28 was Friends versus Friends. 29 was House Flipper 2. And number 30 was Venba for the quote unquote mathematical
Oh,
list, if
yeah.
you're into that sort of
Remember
thing.
that low.
Yeah, right? Surprising.
Interesting.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Did you want to share your top tens of the year? We have a big roundup
Sure.
on Patreon, by the way, that's available for everybody if you want to see. We have a bunch of friends of the show. We have a bunch of guests in there. But Haley, just run it down. What do you got?
Now, my number 10 was Spider-Man 2, Marvel's Spider-Man 2. I really liked that game. It was fun. I saw some
Yeah.
people being like, more Spider-Man is not a critique for Spider-Man 2, but I don't know. Jacob had a really interesting point. It's like when we think back on the Spider-Man series, we're going to say the Spider-Man games. I'm probably not going to say Spider-Man 2, I don't think too much. It's going to be like Marvel Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and Spider-Man 2, and then whatever one comes after that. I remember him
Yeah.
talking about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want to? No, I feel like you disagree. I think you need to say
No, no,
something
no.
and
I
say
do.
you love
I
Spider-Man.
do. I like that game more than most. But yeah, I think it's,
Hmm.
I don't know. I
It
think
was
the
fun.
Spider-Man discussion, the part that, and maybe again, it was a couple comments where this is the downside is you see a couple comments that are like, you know what, I agree with this comment. Yeah, you know what, I was right. Is I saw some comment being like Jacob's argument about like Spider-Man 2 is too consistently fun and good, so it shouldn't be on this list. It's like yeah, that's what made me feel like I was out of my mind screaming about that. But that's fair.
It's weird when you come back to games at the end of the year and your vibe of how people are going to talk about it is totally off. You're like, huh? Like it feel like I remember you said talk about Tears of the Kingdom too, because we all started with dinging it for some reason. I think that was the
Right.
natural way we flowed from Hitman into Tears of the Kingdom. So
Yeah.
it was I love Tears of the Kingdom, but I started off dinging it. And that might make it seem like, oh, this game stinks or something, but it's like, no, this game I put 200 hours into it and absolutely loved it. It's just weird
Yeah.
when the first thing you think of is a ding. It sounds like you hate it, even
Right.
if
Right.
and yeah.
No, yeah, it does happen for sure. And it's funny, like every time I think about like, God, what a wild list, or I look at everybody's individual top tens, I'm like, what the hell? It makes me happy, and we do get a lot of feedback about it from like Patreon supporters. Like they're happy with kind of the diversity of our opinions as a group,
Hmm. Yeah.
which I do think makes us stronger overall. Because I was thinking about it just the other day and losing sleep about the idea of like Leo in his top 10 list, he put Dead Island 2 on there, and Zelda didn't even crack the top 10. I was thinking about, like, what a wild take from Leo. But then it's like, you know what? That's what makes it, and that's what makes it more fun, is to have the
Yeah.
variety. Because it is wild to see, like, looking around the internet, and this isn't a criticism of everybody, it's just fascinating to see, just sociologically, I guess, like, looking at so many top 10 lists around the industry, and it's like, there's a lot of games released in 2023. We all just agree that these are the best. Like, it is I'm always excited when there is some variety because it is just, I
Oh, you
guess
need
maybe
it.
we're supposed to be quote unquote experts at this or whatever, but it is just bizarre to me that it's like, oh, no, clearly these are the 4 best games of 2023, and the entire hive mind agrees on this. It's a little odd when there's too much groupthink for a medium that was
Yeah.
just booming in 1,000 different directions for 2023.
No, you need those different people. I saw a lot of love for Kelsey. Like Kelsey bringing that love for JRPGs and the really long ones that
Right.
none of us get to touch. She needed to champion those because otherwise,
Yep.
like, they wouldn't have been on there if we didn't have Kelsey. Two really probably very good games that came out this year would have just not got talked about.
Yeah.
So that's
Okay.
interesting.
Let's just rapid fire through these because I think we got a lot to get
Sorry,
through
yeah.
here.
I
No, you're
know.
cool.
I had a 10-minute conversation about my number 10. Number 9, Hi-Fi Rush. Number 8, Dredge. I thought Dredge got done a little dirty. I really like Dredge.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. Number 7, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Number 6, Dave the Diver. Number 5, Sea of Stars. Number 4, Tears of the Kingdom. 3, Hitman Freelancer. 2, Alan Wake 2. And number 1 was Baldur's Gate 3 for me.
That's sweet. It's not too late
Yeah.
to swap those if you want to bump those around. Let's see. For my number
All right.
10, I really had a tough time with this like number 9 and 10 space. And I kept going back and forth just about like what was I enjoying playing the most. So number 10, I put Final Fantasy 16. Number 9 is A Space for the Unbound. Number 8 is Theater Rhythm Final Bar Line. Number 7, Star Ocean Second Story R. Number 6, Alan Wake 2. Number 5, Resident Evil 4 Remake. Number 4, The Making of Karateka. Number 3 is Spider-Man 2. Number 2 was Hi-Fi Rush, and number 1 for me was Tears of the Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. There's so much to get to. Who was it? Ray Luaza writes in over on Patreon. They say, "Hey Ben, with the start of a new year, is there a temptation to change the programming of MinMax for 2024, like or introduce new shows, sunset older ones, hire new talent, etc.? Or do you feel like you're in a good place right now and don't feel the need to rethink or refresh the content? Not that I prefer one way or the other. Just want to know what your mindset is." Ray Luaza, that is a very smart question and a good question. Yeah, I think about that a lot, especially because it's like we're going into our 5th year here at MinMax, right? I don't really know how time works that way, but we just had our 4th anniversary, whatever that means.
Yeah.
And it's like, if there's a time to shake it up, it seems like a good time to shake things up. And I'm not saying we're going to. I think in the past we've had the philosophy of like the old Sid Meier strategy for the Civ series of let's keep a third, change a third, and introduce a new third.
Interesting.
Is that how it works? And so that's how they're keeping the Civ series interesting moving forward. And so that was the philosophy for the first couple of years at MinMax. And then last year, I think was the first year where I got lazy and was like, I think we're doing all right. It seems drastic. I don't know if we need to change anything. There's always stuff to improve, but
Yeah.
I don't know about a big radical change like that. And so we did oh, hello, Neil Smith.
Hi, Neil.
Sorry. Did you guys still
No,
want to talk to me?
I mean, if you had thoughts on the weighted list, but overall, just thanks for putting that together.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, sure. No problem. I did have another thing I wanted to talk about, but I didn't want to. I wasn't sure if you guys still wanted to talk about the list, but lead with
Sure, yeah, go for it. What's up?
Okay. So, I have a bone to pick with the MinMax Awards.
Okay.
There was a moment where it was actually, I think it was best moment maybe, where you asked the direct question, "What is the deal with Starfield and New Game Plus, and why is everybody so secretive about it?"
Oh, right.
I was not satisfied with either of the responses to that question.
Because they're not giving Starfield enough credit.
I don't think they actually answered the question.
Okay, well, hang on. It's a big spoiler here.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so we don't have to do it necessarily unless you're dying to, but basically it's more interesting than we
I'm
described it as.
literally dying to.
Okay,
I
spoilers
might
for
collapse
Starfield's-
on the floor.
Okay, spoiler for Starfield, everybody, for the ending here. Okay, so is it correct just that it's a new universe every time? That's the idea?
Okay, so the big thing about it, the reason why it's cool at all, is because the entire story is basically you building the device that creates the ability to New Game Plus. The very first thing you do at the end of the tutorial is you get to the end of the mine and you touch the artifact. Those artifacts, gathering all of them together, creates like the ability to grav jump to like a singularity in space and time that's like between timelines and universes, where you can like interact with dioramas that show what you did while you played the game most recently, and then allow you to New Game Plus. So like there is an in-universe
cool.
explanation for why your character is repeating these events in time and retaining their memories and abilities and doing everything over again but slightly different.
That is cool.
That's
That is cool.
That's pretty rad.
You know what? You're right. And so we should have made Starfield number 16 on the list overall, you think?
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay.
As conceptually, me describing it sounds very cool. I mean, I'm not me describing it, but just describing it, it sounds cool. Like there's sort of that metaphysics layer of like timelines and metaverses and who are you really and who are the people around you and how would they be different if events were different, and it
Yeah.
hints at that, it suggests it, but I don't really feel like it actually does very much with it. I mean, the mechanic of actually doing it, it kind of comes across as like you picked like the Janet's complaint with it, where she picked a build at the beginning to be a chef, and the
Right.
best you could do is say that you were into gastronomy, and that gives you like a +1 to your gastronomy skill. Like doing this loop, all it is the singularity of space and time is literally just the end credits vignettes as a diorama around you, and then you start over and you essentially just have one more trait, and your one more trait is every once in a while you get a dialogue option that says starborn, because you're starborn now, that gives you the ability to say, oh, I know what's going to happen here, wink wink nudge nudge.
Right.
And that's like the limit of the impact on the mechanics. And probably the
That's frustrating.
coolest thing about it is that you do occasionally get like different universes that are like altered in some way, and Jacob did describe those, but those are
Right.
very rare. Like I New Game Plus like 10, 11 times, and I saw one of those out of like maybe
Wow.
10 of them. And like in order, you can use like dev commands to go see the other ones, but getting them randomly is very rare.
That's cool. Well, hey, Neil, thank you
Interesting.
for getting everything correct that we got wrong during the
Okay,
words. Everything was perfect other than that.
thank you for letting me get that off my chest. I can
That
Yeah, of
sounds
live
course.
and breathe
cathartic for
again.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Thanks, Neil.
Yeah, thanks.
So
Bye,
appreciate
Neil.
it. Bye, Neil. So as I was saying, no, but it really was. I mean, I think about that stuff all the time, and specifically what I think about is that idea of like we have been given such a gift of having complete independence with an outlet like MinMax, and so it's always just that question of like, are we blowing it? Are we doing interesting enough stuff? Are we getting complacent? Is it, are we just falling into the grooves? Like, well, these are the grooves that we made. What are you going to do? But it's like, oh no, I mean, if the community's happy. We could make new grooves. We can do whatever we want. And so, we've grown a lot, which is great. It's the weird double-edged sword of like we've grown a lot, but that mainly just means we have a lot more feedback, and sometimes being just zoomed in on the feedback can fry your brain.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's tough to hear everybody at once, like, why don't you do this? Why don't you do this? But it's helpful. And, it's just a matter of, it's easy as an outlet to install new treadmills for everybody. I was like, all right, this is a new show we're doing, and this is a new show we're doing, and then we're going to burn everybody out. And like, we have such a
Yeah.
weird structure at MinMax where I'm the only person full time. And, we talked about it on a party chat a while ago with Leo, right? Of just like, what is the right level for everybody to stay excited about the content and engage with the content on the production end? I not pointing fingers at anybody in particular, but it was like, hey, if everybody was full time and this person was on every new show plus, and they had a new show in addition to that, and they were on party chat, and then they're also on the MinMax show every single week. I mean, I love doing it, but I don't know what I'm going to be like in 5 years. And so it's just that worry of like, I think people would get deflated and our content would get worse. So there's a lot going on here.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I feel like there's a trend right now on YouTube where all the first gen YouTubers are like retiring. Have you seen that?
Yes.
It's that burnout. It's like, oh, this was so fun. I had so much passion for it. And the only reason it's ending, they still have millions of subs waiting for the next video. Like it can happen at any time. Like let's just do the content I've done for the last 10 years and push out another video. But the passion's not there, and that's so fair. And I feel like we shouldn't force people to want to make content for the clicks. Like, well, then you're not gonna like their videos anymore, guarantee, because the whole reason you liked their videos 10 years ago is because they were having fun. So it's like a double-edged sword. How do you balance not reaching that retirement phase of your brain where you're like, I'm done with this. It's not even fun anymore.
Yep. It's really tough. And I think we're at a good spot. I mean, Thanks to everybody who watched the best of video that we cut together, and it's fun to have like Haley and Jacob in the chat there in the live chat with the premiere on YouTube. But there is a sad feeling of just like, I don't know if we can top 2023 content wise. Like I'm excited about where we're going in the future, but it's like, oh God, if this is peak min-max, and
See, my energy
who
of it
knows?
is like, when a TV show is entering like its third season, and you're like, here we go, like this is hitting now, like that's where I feel like
Yeah.
it's at. I don't feel like it's a peak where we go down. It's like we found it, and now it's like it coasts. Maybe that's how I kind of feel the energy is.
No, I'm excited about the future, and there are a couple things in particular for this year that I am over the moon excited to kick into gear and initiate and all that stuff. But I think when you're talking about like, is it a peak or is it just going to be a new level that we're slowly increasing on from here on out? Honestly, it all comes down to like the energy of the group and how the group is feeling and how enthusiastic people are. And it's a tough thing to get a read on, like especially in a big group meeting, Haley. I'm just like, all right, we're all back for 2024. How's everybody feeling enthusiasm wise
Our
about
game's still
content?
cool.
Right. Yeah, it's a tough thing to gauge. Anyways, so all this being said, we did a big community survey where we sent out a big survey on Google Forms to everybody on Patreon. Maybe you remember getting this email. Maybe you filled it out. We appreciate it. Maybe you didn't. That's fine too. So we sent it to everybody on Patreon. We sent it on Twitter, and we sent it on Reddit. 3 different versions, just so I could have the different numbers. But overall, it was really humbling and really sweet. So for overall, it was like, hey, rate your satisfaction level with MinMax as an outlet. Scale of 1 to 5. And the total score for the Patreon supporters was a 4.8 out of 5, which I couldn't ask for more. That is huge for us. And so thank you to everybody for sending kind words our way and all that stuff. Now, you could be said, Haley, you're a mathematical lady, I presume. I assume all lawyers are. It was just that idea of like, well, maybe the only people who would click through the survey are the most engaged, therefore they're the happiest with it, all that stuff. So keep that in mind. But it was hundreds and hundreds of responses that way. And then Twitter, for their overall satisfaction, they were at a 4.8. The Reddit audience was at a 4.5 for reviewing MinMax as an outlet. So there we go, Reddit. It's fair.
Still very high for Reddit.
Still very high. And, that combined with like, we asked, the amount of content that we create every week. And 86.5% of people said we release the perfect amount of content every week. And 12% of people said too much content. And 3% of people said we need more content.
When you saw the 12%, where you're like, say less. Like, see you in another 2 weeks. I'm in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, basically. No, I mean, but that is such a good sign. And I love it that it's like, okay, we could scramble and create a ton more content, but like by and large, people don't want it. Like if we just focus on improving the content we are doing, and what I'm going to focus on more this year is taking bigger, weirder swings, more special events, stuff like that, bigger crossovers, those types of big events that are really fun for the community. I think that's a better use of a time to be an exciting outlet for the community rather than just let's start 3 new shows. Let's talk about blank every week. If I say something instead of blank, it sounds like I'm criticizing their outlet. But like if we talk about Marvel shows every week, it's like, it's not going to move any needles, So anyways, I was really happy with that. We also asked people to review every show on that same scale, 1 to 5. So there's a lot of feedback and overall there's a lot of love, a lot of good tips in there as well. So thanks everybody for submitting suggestions for everybody. I'm happy to go into more details if people want in future episodes of Party Chat here. But let's see, the MinMax interviews scored a 4.6. The MinMax Show podcast got a 4.57. This is from the Patreon poll. The Deepest Dive got a 4.35. Max Spoilers got a 4.28. Reaction Streams got a 4.22. Trivia Tower got a 3.96. Cream of the Stream got a 3.93. New Show Plus got a 3.91. Party Chat tied it with a 3.91. And then Gameplay Streams were at a 3.79. And there's a ton of feedback for all of this stuff as well. So I greatly appreciate everybody who was, a lot of love, but there's also a fair bit of fair feedback of like, I think you guys are blowing it on this front, on this front, this front. So thanks to everybody who submitted for that survey. We can unpack it if you really would like to. But this is also a nice way of saying that there will be some tweaks, some positive tweaks to MinMax as an outlet that we're going to be announcing next week. So there were a couple comments, which it's so tough, Haley, going through like hundreds and hundreds of comments, because naturally you're going to see the ones that you agree with the most. Like, this is what I've been saying. Yeah, it's just like, it's so tough to try and like boil that out down to takeaways and stuff. But there's some people that are like, hey, Ben should delegate more, and Ben should slow the hell down on the podcast, which I agree. Speed wise, I should let things breathe a little bit more. But yeah, some people are saying like Ben should delegate more, and I agree. And so stay tuned for next week. We'll have some announcements which are positive here overall at MinMax. But thank you, Ray Lawaza, for the question. Yeah, it's like we've been doing really well, and it's really bizarre to me. Like, I'm so used to, like, every month, if you look at our Patreon, look at the graph of our Patreon, if you want to be a nerd about it, which is fun, is like the start of every month, we dip numbers wise, and then we have to climb back up. And so every month it just feels like a challenge. Like, all right, start of the new month. Here we go. Let's climb, see how far we can get. Okay. And now we're free falling. Okay. And now we climb back up. And so it's just been that over and over again. And so I'm so used to like looking at that graph and looking at the numbers and having a pretty direct sense of like, we did this show that people really loved. And because of that, if we did like, when we were in our streak of doing like the Wii Sports episodes of New Show Plus, we got so many new supporters. And I never thought that New Show Plus would bring in that many more supporters. And not even people that would vote for New Show Plus at the Backstage Pass tier, but just people jumping into like the $2 tier. And so that was a big boost of just being like, oh, this is really unique stuff. We don't really see it on YouTube that much, especially from a gaming outlet. Like, I want to support this. And so I'm so used to that idea of like pushing a certain direction of like, okay, we have 3 great interviews. We're going to release them back to back over 3 consecutive weeks. And people wrote news stories about them and stuff. And that would lead to people supporting us on Patreon, or like we're doing a deepest dive. And so that's a big boost for Patreon numbers. Or here's the Trivia Tower. It's a big crossover event with Nextlander. And so we get a boost from that. But I think more than any other year, like this last month, it's been a bizarre feeling of like numbers just keep going up. And I feel like I'm not pushing. Like, we did the big, it's bizarre. Yeah. It's like, I guess, with the MinMax Awards and the 210s, like people really enjoyed those a lot. And we kicked off the month in December by doing a big code giveaway for Star Ocean along with the Game Awards. And so like a lot of people jumped in for that, but that just kind of like got a ball rolling where I think people were just like really happy with us as an outlet, which is really sweet to see, where people just kept jumping in and jumping up. And so, yeah, it's just a weird feeling from my position to be like, I feel like I'm not pushing that hard right now. And our numbers are increasing faster than they've ever increased. And so it's a weird feeling, Haley. Yeah, it is exciting. And it just puts more pressure on 2024 to be like, all right, use that well. Don't blow it.
Or it's kind of just like, you're doing it. We like what we see. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you find it hard to balance that? This means I need to now double the effort because to keep up with it. Or people like what they see. Let's keep it going. Similar energy. Like,
yeah, I think it's more from my vantage point. It's like, don't blow it structure wise. Like, make sure everybody's happy as we're growing. It's like we have such a funky structure, just making sure like what's the most fair way to even all this out. It's that type of stuff. And like, definitely my impulse isn't let's start a bunch more new shows with this support. It's how can we make some new energy for the shows we already have, if that's a weird coded way of saying things. Kind of reinvent some of the shows we have, not in a reboot sense, but you'll see what I'm talking about next week. But I think there's some easy ways to alleviate things. And then also personally, it's a matter of like, all right, we're growing. That's great. I know that like of all the levels I need to adjust going into 2024, like definitely one for me is like, I need to let some pressure off for my work-life balance. Having a little one now, like it's a gross, weird thing to talk about, but it's like, I'm really proud of MinMax's 2023. And the part that is bizarre to factor in is like, yeah, that was with for half of it, that was with a little baby. Like that was a really tough time. Like, just scheduling wise, and the fact that we did as much as we did, I feel really good about. But definitely that's on the meters to adjust for 2024. One of mine is like, I need to let off some steam from family pressure, because it's like I can't.
A bit crunched.
Yes, yeah, a little. We're doing well, but it was a little bit of like I need to find some way to dial things, readjust things so that it is sustainable, as we talked about. That's the biggest fear is we have complete freedom and independence. What's going to bring us down? And as a lot of people mentioned in the survey, is like, hey, don't burn out, and that's completely fair. And one of those ways is like I need to have some more family time carved into the schedule here. So we are working on that, and we'll get into all that stuff next week. Let's see. We had Sunny D, 22. They said this isn't this week's show, but for next week, I would love to talk about the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet DLC that will be finished after the epilogue releases on Thursday. The story is strange, and the Pokemon are stranger. Interesting. Also, Game Freak is in such an interesting spot as well, so it's worth mentioning. Yeah, I'd love to talk about that. I haven't kept up with that DLC at all, but I'm curious from people who have. Should we take some?
I want to play that.
Yeah, should we take some community calls here, Haley? I'll let you kind of manage that.
Sure. I think Kath was the first one to have her hand up.
Yeah, for sure.
Invite you now, Kath.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Kath.
How's it going?
Good, and you?
Good.
How was your holiday break?
Good. I drove like 6 hours to go to my dad, so it was a long ride.
Oh, that is
Okay.
long.
It's okay. I made my husband listen to the 210s, and he got mad at you on the speaker. I loved it.
Okay, good. Well, what more could you ask for, I guess? Well, what would you like to talk about for party chat here?
I just want to update on do an update on the min-max gift swap.
Ooh,
Oh, yeah.
First, I want to thank you, Haley, for helping me.
Of course. Thank
And
you
also
for leading the
pranking
way.
them. And I need you to explain what happened.
Did you get well, for people who don't know, we did Secret Santa in the community, and it went really well. Kath, a lot of people were posting in the Max holidays. They're like, here's my present. I love it so much. It was very sweet. The entity was someone in the Santa, the Secret Santa. So that was
Nice.
Min-Max itself. And Kath actually got Min-Max
Yeah.
for Secret Santa. And I don't know if you want to say what you gifted.
Well, the
Kath.
vet looked at it
What's that? I didn't hear that.
and got it.
Yeah, did you receive anything in the PO box that you were like, "What's this for?"
Me, I've been in Puerto Rico, so I
Oh
haven't.
yeah.
So I won't
haven't-
say it. And when you're gonna receive a Redbubble package, I want you to open it with us, and we're gonna talk.
Okay, all right, that sounds great. We can do that when I get back for sure.
But yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone. I think if my page is okay, that everyone sent and received their gift. If I'm not right, just come and see me on Discord. But
some people it's on the way, but everyone's got confirmation that it's on the way. At least.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing. I never saw a gift swap go so smoothly. People
nice.
were active, and the gift people gave was just mwah, chef kiss.
Oh my God, Kath, say what you got. Your present was amazing.
Someone made a commission a drawing of Asterion and my 4 bunnies.
Wow.
So it's Asterion lying in the grass with my 4 bunnies, and I ended up printed it on my wall.
That's so awesome. I love that so much. When you posted that in the Max Hollies channel, I was like, oh, that's such a fun.
But it's so thoughtful. That's what I was like. Some people got video games or vinyls of video games or things they really wanted, and like they didn't want to ask maybe significant others. So I'm just happy that we all gave each other love and a bit of geekiness, and yeah, thank you for the community. It's amazing.
I had a great time participating too. I was in it. It was very fun.
That's sweet. Well, thanks so much, Kath. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
Thank
And
you,
yeah. What?
Did you have something else to say?
Thank you.
No, just happy year, happy 2024. I agree.
Yeah.
Don't overexert yourself, and I'm looking ahead for the year.
Sweet. We are too. Thanks so much, Kath. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Kath. And then Kyle was next.
Yes, Kyle S. And maybe they won't even talk about Survivor. Hello, Kyle.
Hey, no Survivor today.
Oh, okay. If you insist.
No, I insist. We could say like good winner. That's better. It's a little left my mind. So, but yeah, good winner.
Good winner, good season. 90 minutes episode rules, even if the first 2 sucked.
Yeah, exactly that.
Okay,
Survivor
great.
could
But
always be 90 minutes. It'd be great.
Yeah, but Haley, we're not here to talk about Survivor. We're here to talk about something much more important, right, Kyle?
Yeah, you guys were talking in the pre-show about physical note keeping and listing
yeah.
and record keeping, which is interesting because for my New Year's resolution-ish thing I want to do this year, I had this Fujifilm Instax printer, like the Polaroid printers, to print like things from your phone onto the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had one of these for a while. That's like the whole Nintendo Switch theme thing. There's like a Pokemon one and a Splatoon one. I got one of them, and I've been printing little Polaroid pictures out for every day I've been playing. Just keeping little moments of the year. And
That's
so
fun.
far, I've had a lot of fun moments here. Just like I can't wait for the end of the year where I just see like all these moments where it's like, oh yes, the final boss to like Puzzle and Dragons, or like, oh, this
wow.
great moment in like Splatoon Salmon Run, or when I saw someone like refuse a star in Mario Party, things like that.
What sociopath was that?
They wanted to steal someone's star, so keep their coins for a bigger fish to fry.
Oh.
So big brain moves going on there.
Smart.
That might be
but
the only reason to refuse the star, now that I think about it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd like to know if you guys have any fun gaming related New Year's resolutions, or just New Year's resolutions of any sort if you don't have any.
That's a good question. Gaming related, I hadn't really thought of it.
I kind of do.
Yeah, please.
This last year kind of taught me that if I don't be so precious with what games I think I'll like, if I just give more stuff a shot, I end up finding my favorite games ever. So I'm gonna try like Baldur's Gate, Alan Wake as well. Like I like picking up the first Alan Wake, I was like, man, let's see, and I was like, like now I like am Remedy's biggest super fan, which happened in the span of what, a month and a half? Like that's crazy.
That's so sweet.
But
that's so sweet.
Yeah. So I'm gonna try to do that kind of stuff more. Like I'm gonna play Final Fantasy VII Remake so that I can play Rebirth. I'm gonna try it. I want it because I've never played a Final. B-Wood was on a few party chats ago talking about this, and I want to see because I've had friends tell me, "Haley, you'll love Final Fantasy," blah blah blah, and I don't know why. Never started. So maybe by the time February rolls around, I'm gonna play it this month. Remake. I'll love Rebirth, and I'll be I'll be the new Final Fantasy playing them all in a row girl. Who knows? Or I might not like it, but I'm gonna at least try and see if I do.
I could really use you in the Game of the Year debate for 2024, Haley. So I'm rooting for you, certain direction already. The wrinkle is like a Dragon is coming out in January. Like that's tough to squeeze in if you're also going through all of Remake.
Yes. Yeah, and I feel like I would like the Like a Dragon series too. I just have also never tried it. My partner told me that.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, never played a single one. And I was thinking the other day, how do they make that many? I was like Googling it to like be like, where's the good job? There's a new one every 9 months, it feels like. Like how are they doing that?
Yeah.
It's like Call of Duty or something.
No, it's really wild. It's gross that my instinct was like, oh dude, play Like a Dragon. Because like 7's my favorite thing ever, but I don't know. I mean, the more I think about it, it's like for newcomers, if you're not nostalgic over 7, and it's just a coin toss between which game you're playing, Like a Dragon's pretty freaking good. I might recommend you go Like a Dragon over 7 Remake, which seems hypothetical or antithetical to everything I live for, but I don't know. It's a blast.
B-Wood says, Ben, stop self-sabotaging.
Yeah, sorry, B-Wood. Yeah, absolutely. So there we go. That's a good one. You try more stuff. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
I maybe would like to try to get more into living games. Like I've talked about. Maybe that's like a fun episode of the MinMax show. Is like for a week, we all dive really deep into a different living game and kind of report back on the community and what it's like to get into the game and stuff like that. Because I don't really engage with a lot of multiplayer stuff, and I think my plan is, at least when I get back, I really want to spend a lot of time with friends and my nephews now in Lego Fortnite. And so maybe that's not the best example, but like, I don't know, I'd like to get into some living game in 2024, some multiplayer thing.
Yeah, like maybe a suggestion, like if, Leo's been very much into Fallout 76, if he can like do like a little like tourist guide into like all of what makes Fallout 76 interesting, I think that'd make like a really good stream or video.
Yeah, that'd be fun for sure. Hey, Kyle, thank you for your support. We should get to Risky Chris P before we bow out today here.
Yeah, Happy New Year, guys.
All right, same to you. Thank you.
I will bring up Risky Chris P.
Hello, Chris.
How are y'all doing? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. What's happening?
So it's actually ironic that you guys touched on Final Fantasy VII in that last conversation, because that's kind of what I wanted to bring up. So my journey with Final Fantasy VII is I started the original and played it through Midgard to play the remake, because I wanted to have that kind of as a point of reference. And now I, like 2 years later, have finally gone back to that save and have been like, all right, well, I guess it's time I finally see the rest of this game, since we don't know exactly where Rebirth is going to end. And I'm just finding it a little daunting, I guess, to go back to something from the PS1 era, because that's a little before my personal nostalgia. So I kind of just wanted to get your opinion and or advice, I guess, as a big Final Fantasy VII fan, going back to that, like, how you would approach that.
I want this too.
This is sacrilegious again. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to be a realist. In 2024, I'm trying to be a realist. Man, just playing the new version, like the modern ports with the 3x speed, and you can make yourself invincible basically through every fight, just like blasting through it. It's the way to go. I'm sorry, hardcore fans. I hear you. In a perfect world, everyone would go back and play the original and take it very seriously, but you should if you're hardcore. But it's not
I'm
like the
hardcore.
most hardcore thing.
I'm hardcore.
I mean, I just feel like I'd rather have somebody speed through that new port version, basically in invincible god mode, and experience how cool 7 is just as a historical artifact, rather than somebody being like, I'm going to take this super seriously, and I'm going to grind my way through it, and then bounce off it after 3 hours. Which I feel like is what's going to happen, Because
I'm enough of a sicko. I was like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to get the platinum, because I'm playing on the PS4 HD version or whatever. I was like, I'm going to see everything. I don't want to miss any of the missable party members. I'm going to do it all if I'm going to do this. And I will say, I played it a good chunk today, and I actually got to the flashback with Sephiroth. And I was like, okay, wait a second. This is actually really cool. And it's only like whenever you're kind of trying to navigate the map, the 2D versus 3D. I think the 2D backgrounds make it actually visually hold up well in that regard, but trying to figure out exactly where you're going is...
Well, you do know, I mean, there's a little option, those in the original too, where you can turn on like the exits for every map. And
that is an absolute lifesaver.
That was amazing. Even they had that in the original. Yeah, it's super helpful.
Yeah, I assume that was just for the remaster, so that's really cool. But
I
also am like, well, Crisis Core is on sale right now. I got to see that, because Zach seems like he's going to be really important, and I'm not, broken enough that I'm going to try and do the Dirty Dirge as well. But I guess I'm just trying to figure out. I was like, okay, I'm going to watch Advent Children. I'm going to finish the original, and I'm going to play Crisis Core all before Infinite Wealth and Rebirth.
No. Go easy on yourself, dude. Don't do it. I mean, yes, Zach is going to be really important this time around, but they're gonna make it a smooth on ramp for learning about Zach. And even if you just play the original Final Fantasy VII, you will know. Sorry, Zach fans, you'll know everything you need to know about Zach. You don't need to play Crisis Core. You'll understand the character a little bit deeper, but big picture wise, you'll understand who Zach is, and you'll understand why he's a fascinating character and why it's exciting for him to be back, just by playing the original.
Gotcha. See, I'm a huge Kingdom Hearts fan, so it's funny because Zach was in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, and I was like, I don't even know who this dude is. And so it was like, there are certain connections there that I would like to fill out. But I also wanted to get your thoughts on Ever Crisis, because that seems like it should be the perfect tool for this exact scenario. But everything I've heard is that it's a microtransaction-ridden mess.
Yeah, it's cool for a little bit, and then you get to just the chasm.
It's the mobile game.
Yeah, they just throw you into a big pit of microtransactions and stuff. I mean, it's not. I don't know. I didn't honestly stick with it enough to really get a sense of how annoying the microtransaction stuff was. It's just like when they bring you on a tour of the menu screen, that's like 6 different types of inventory and currencies, and I was like, I don't know what all this crap is. I hate it.
Yeah.
But you're right. That should be the way to get an abridged version of all this content. That's where they want you to go. I just don't think you should go there necessarily, unless you watch a YouTube compilation of their retelling of all of 7 through that. But even then, like at that point, just watch some summary of 7 on YouTube, and you'll be better off,
Right. Yeah, I was kind of trying to avoid that, though. Honestly, even just going back 2 years later, I was like, wait, so what exactly happened in Midgard again? I don't remember all the specifics. I'm surprised with how quickly this part 2 is coming out after part 1, but it's still enough of a break where, because of all the different elements it's pulling from, it's like I could still use a refresher anyway. But
it is weird. Even as a super fan, I also have that feeling of like, this feels like it's coming out quick. Like slow down, please. Like if Rebirth wasn't coming out until October, I'd be like, that feels about right. But it just feels like we're hitting the ground running for 2024 with this huge thing that we need to knock out of the park with the deepest dive on. So I'm feeling a lot of pressure for that thing, but it's going to be a blast for sure. But God bless you, Crispy. You can give it your all, but don't be ashamed of just speeding through it in a modern port on PS4.
Think of your health.
Yeah,
put your health first.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you say that because of all the directors or whoever it was that did the interviews from RGG talking about you should not try and finish Infinite Wealth in a couple days. You'll hurt yourself. There's way too much content here. I was like,
you'll hurt yourself.
Noted. I will get a doctor's note and be totally prepared. So.
Amazing.
Oh boy. Well, thanks, Crispy. Appreciate the support.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. I should get back to this vacation, but Haley, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. Enjoy your vacation, man.
Oh, please. I will. We will still have New Show Plus Poll. We'll still have the main episode of the Min-Max Show podcast. We'll be talking about what we played over holiday break. And then we're going to be sharing the communities list for the 210s. This is truly the correct list, Haley.
That's the correct list.
210s. That's the correct
list.
So we'll be sharing that on the episode as well. But I think we're going to have a big group of us talking about what we played over holiday break. So it should be kind of a looser, more silly episode. So I'm looking forward to it with a ton of community questions and all that fun stuff. But yeah, thanks everybody for listening to Party Chat still. Stay tuned next week. We will have some tweaks and changes. Nothing that you should be worried about. All positive, but it'll be a fun couple of announcements here at MinMax for early plans for 2024 and how we're improving stuff. So cool. Thanks so much, folks. We'll see you soon. Goodbye.
Bye.
And then we'll do a raid. Who is live? Kind of funny. All right. Go say hello to Kind of Funny. They're playing Ark Survival Evolved. Haley, the show's over, so I can say this. This is a little game I like to play. Is it a sponsored stream or not? If Kind of Funny is playing Ark Survival Evolved, what's your guess? Is that sponsored or not?
Oh. It feels like a random time to be playing that. I'm going to say sponsored.
Yep. Okay, let's see. Are they live? I guess I could see it. Kind of Funny. Well, I don't know if they are, but you tell us, everybody. Go enjoy. See ya.
Bye.
All right, bye, party chatters.
See you, Ben.
Okay, hang on. We're still live.